What is going on, everybody? It's Reviews with Rich live, back on a Tuesday evening, episode 3 of Reviews with Rich live. It's great to have you all and see all your smiling faces. Thank you so much for joining us. We're doing another live stream where today we'll be talking movie news and about the creator as well. Later on down the stream, we will be doing a bit of a spoiler warning, but we won't be dedicating too much for those people who have not seen it. But we're going to be talking about the tease picture from Joker 2 by Todd Phillips, Argyle trailer that was released. And then we're going to be talking about lots of rumors to do with the future of DC via James Gunn. It's just a gift that keeps on giving with the news. Don't know how reliable some of it is, but then we're going to be doing quite a lot of stuff that's going to be coming up in terms of obviously Loki to come up with a new show that's coming in a couple of days' time, the finale for Ahsoka, and many more. But before I introduce my guests, my buddies, Peter and Ian, I'm going to quickly just give a quick plug for my own channel. So I did a couple of I did 5 videos last week, one of which was an out of theater review for the creator. If you've not seen that, please consider subscribing and obviously watching this content. And also as well, I did a vlog from NEC Toy Fair, which was great, and I got some really good deals. There's a guy on there on that picture who looks like he's emotional because he missed out on a deal that I got and he did not. But before, so I'm going to bring in my guests. One of them is Peter, aka Triple G Comics. How you doing, Peter?
Not bad at all, mate. Not bad at all. Well, ready for some good movie talk. Looking forward to this.
Always great to have you, man. Thank you so much. And we'll be bringing in Ian, a.k.a. Agent Silver Fox. How you doing, brother?
All good. Looking forward to this after a stressful few days. So looking forward to it. Yep.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, I'm just going to quickly say hello to the chat. First of all, my brother, wonderful highlight of the week, brother. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, James. Means a lot. Good evening, gentlemen of the internet. Fuzzy Dunlop says hello. He's saying hello to everybody. Hey, Phil, good to have you, man. And he goes, Peter, the Iron Man looks great. Well, I agree. Apart from the Antonio Stark, though, sculpt. It looks a bit Latino to me.
He does, yeah. I can't not see that now. He stood here.
No,
and
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Eduardo.
It's the multiverse.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for everyone who has not know what we're talking about. Peter's got a hot toy, 1/6 scale hot toy, which has the comic accurate Tony Stark. I think he looks like he's from The Days of Our Lives, the Spanish edition. But sorry if I ruined that for you now.
I have to sell it now. Thanks very much.
I give you 50p. But so today we're going to be talking about a number of things, one of which is literally just dropped in the last hour or so. So it is not part of my slides, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. And it is one of the first official teaser pictures for Joker 2, Joaquin Phoenix. So today is the 4-year anniversary of the first film. I can't believe that. That movie is one of my all-time favorite movies. Comic book and everything is just perfect. I absolutely adore that movie, and the performance is stunning. So yeah, I have a feeling we're going to get a trailer soon. Usually when they drop a teaser picture, you're usually expecting a day or two, you'll get a teaser trailer. Things are weird in Hollywood at the minute where certain people can and cannot promote stuff if they're part of the SAG, but the directors are doing a lot of the promoting for them. So you won't have Lady Gaga or Joaquin Phoenix promoting this. You'd have mainly Todd Phillips, the director. So obviously a very interesting image there of Joaquin Phoenix. What do you guys think to this picture?
Absolutely gorgeous. It just oozes so much. There's the composition's beautiful, but the emotion that's coming out of this still I cannot wait for this movie because I love him and I love Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's very in keeping with the previous cinematography and the way it looks. It just looks absolutely stunning. And I know you can't really tell a lot from a picture, but I think it's really cool nonetheless. Peter, what do you think to this?
Yeah, I mean, this movie, the first one and this one, just oozes kind of class in terms of cinematography and the vision it puts on screen. I'm really excited, but I don't want to be the negative naysayer here. The musical element worries us, if I'm honest. I don't know why, but I'm just kind of I'm sure it will be done very, very well. Do you know what I mean? I'm just slightly hesitant, I guess.
I am too. I'll be honest with you. I even felt that the guy who was singing to him in the subway, I felt that was quite out of place. He was singing like some kind of Sondheim show tune to him, and it was just like, what? Why is this guy singing to him? But maybe that might be a bit more obvious because it might be in his head and maybe it's from his perspective or from hers, because obviously she's playing Harley Quinn. Is she going to be the Doctor and then turn into Harley Quinn, or is she just going to be Harley Quinn like that already, or is she like a member of Arkham Asylum? Basically it's just both in their perspective, maybe very similar to what the Suicide Squad had when she was killing all those people and all the flowers were coming out. Very similar kind of thing. So maybe they see it from their
and that worked very well actually in that that
did.
movie.
Yeah, I think it looked great. It looked really good. But I just thought it was like very interesting. So that's very interesting. That's come out. So hopefully we're going to get a little poster and maybe a teaser. So we've got Sean saying evening all. Hey buddy. Dr. Von Hoot saying evening all. I always say that in your accent, Peter. It's the first hot toast that really makes me want to buy one. Oh, that's nice. I have to get the Mondo Beastman now, Peter.
I know it's out. It's $300, and
is it?
You get hit. You always get hit with Mondo. You always get hit with import tax. So I've just had a bill for £45 for the trap jaw, which is coming. So yeah, it makes some pricey figures. And they do this timed release thing, so you've got to have ordered it by Friday.
Well, if you want to buy a Rick and Morty from Mondo, let me know, because I'm going to be selling mine. But yeah, so thank you to everybody so far who has stopped by. Random bit of movie news in terms of what's been announced, rumors, etc. But what we do have is a very, very strange trailer from a film that I could not give two flying about, I'm afraid, even though it has Henry Cavill in, and that is Argyle. Look at ridiculous hair. If that becomes fashion in the future, I'm checking out. I'm off. It looks ridiculous. It looks so bad. But I mean, you've got to be. When Henry Cavill signed up for this, he must have known that scene was coming up. Dancing with Dua Lipa and having a good time by the looks of things. This trailer, for me personally, they've done it as like from the twisted mind of Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn did Layer Cake, X-Men First Class. Yeah, he did The Kingsman, the first one. He did the second one, which was atrocious. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. And he did the third one, which was a prequel, which hinted at I can't probably say him without being like kind of struck on YouTube, but they hinted that it was going to be Hitler was going to be the bad guy in the next one. It's like, what the hell's going on? So I think they have marketed this weird. I think it looks great cast, a random cat in it, which all that kind of stuff like that just looks very silly to me. But this is coming out at the beginning of next year. Have you guys seen the trailer? What did you think to it, Peter?
So this was never on my radar. Never heard of this. I watched the trailer and I haven't got a bloody clue what I watched. I don't really understand what it's. I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? It just was weird. yeah, I'm really not sure about this one. This is
No.
not the one I think I'm going to rush to see at the cinema, unless the next trailers really sell it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm completely in agreement with yourself. I think it's the way they've done it is the kind of be, oh yeah, he's going to be like a Bond-esque kind of character, and then she's writing about him, and then she's kind of predicting what the future is going to be like. But I just really think it's very silly, and I'm not a fan. Ian, what did you think to this?
Yeah, so I saw this when I went to see The Creator. It was one of the pre-trailers. That's when I saw it show up, and I also was lost. It was almost like Romancing the Stone, you know, the author,
I didn't think of that
thing, but then trying to put a kind of James Bond spin on it, and it was goofy. And from the trailer, I thought it was all over the place.
Yeah. I think whoever put that trailer together did a really bad job. It didn't make it well, and the three of us didn't like it at all. I wonder what the chat says as well. Phil said, "Is that a Queen of the Damned t-shirt?" Yes, it is. I'm going to full screen you. There you go.
Look at
Aaliyah
that.
there,
Stunning,
looking badass. And then mate, look at that movie. Katie says, my wife says, is it Mel B from Sky? That's really good, babe. Thank you. Wife says hello, babe. And James says, my brother says, do you think Henry Cavill won't be Bond? Or he should be Bond? I don't know if he will. I think obviously he left Witcher because of creative differences and because he was promised Superman. We don't know whether or not those kind of discussions were around the same time. So maybe he chose Superman over Bond. But obviously, I don't know if you know this, but Henry Cavill was second in line to get Casino Royale. But he was rejected because he was too young at the time. So obviously this was a while ago now. So there's hopefully still a chance for him. I think he's perfect. I think he'd be perfect for Bond. We'll be talking about Bond later on today in the rumors about that, about what a possible trilogy might look like. So I think it would be interesting if that does happen. And I think he's got relatives in the military as well. Henry Cavill does. I think I kind of like an ex-Marine kind of feel to him. I think would be quite good. He could pull it off. He's got the build, he's got the accent, he's got a lot of stuff, and obviously got the look. And then, so I think it's quite interesting. Peter, you think
I don't know. No, I mean, I love Henry Cavill. I really do. I would absolutely love him to secure Captain Britain. I think he'll make a tremendous Captain Britain in the Marvel Universe. I prefer my Bond not looking as gigantic and kind of godlike. Do you know what I mean? I know Daniel Craig was he was a very beefy kind of guy, but I don't know.
Steady. What's going on? You are married, aren't you?
I tell you,
tell us something.
He came out the sea. I tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I think Henry's he's too buff. Bond needs to be believable, if that makes sense. Yeah. Henry Cavill is almost like a god. Do you know what I mean? Again, I sound a bit odd, don't I?
You need to have a conversation with your wife later. Can we have a standee in our bedroom?
Yeah. On the ceiling? No.
On the ceiling. Oh dear. Can you wear this cape? Can you put this Mission Impossible Fallout mustache on? Anyway, sorry about that. So we got Funny Donlop says James Norton should be Bond, in my opinion. James Norton's a great actor. In Happy Valley, he's very good. I think he's unknown enough to not be part of the big conversation. I am going to have a video. I'm going to do a video on this James Bond, the rumors and stuff like that, I think, and who I think might be Bond. But yeah, there's some quality actors out there. So I think there's the talent's there. It's a great opportunity for someone to really beef up their career long term. And what a legacy. It's the best. So That's I'll go out of the way. And we have. So I've got a little bit of. All I do at night is Prey 2. So we've got Prey 2 might be in development at the moment. Sequel to the original one, which was the Predator spin-off / prequel. I started this and I need to finish it. By all accounts, it's fantastic. But I just I didn't. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. But I really like the idea of it. But yeah, I think I probably need to go back to it on a different day, kind of thing. But yeah, I've heard very good things though. You guys seen it?
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah,
I adored the original Arnie one, so I'm a bit kind of like, doesn't have to replace it or anything, but it's just it has to do something that's above and beyond. In my opinion.
See, for me, Rich, I mean, I liked it. I think it's overhyped for me.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was worried about.
I love the original, and nothing I've seen comes close to that at all. Comes like this is nowhere near the original for me, and I enjoyed it. But I do believe it's one of those ones that are overhyped. Just my opinion. No offense to anybody else. But...
Oh, people can calm down if they're going to get offended over that.
I personally, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hear what you're saying, but I really enjoyed it. And I think for me, we've talked about this on my channel. I'm going to do a show called What If, where we're going to cover this as well.
Yep.
I'm excited about the opportunity it opens. So I love the idea of the fact that predators have been visiting with all of human history. So you can get a movie set, during the Viking era, or you can get a movie set in pirates and in that kind, so give where predator attacking different points in history. I just think would be phenomenal.
I think so. I think it's something that I've heard on a podcast mentioned before about like during like the Civil War and just kind of like like Viking time or like barbarians and stuff. But the thing is as well, you can't always have them being victorious as in the protagonists. I think they have to be like literally cutting through half a village before we even get to that point. They need to be shown as absolute badass. But yeah, I like the idea of this, and I think it's very, very interesting. And hopefully, things like this keep getting made, but I hope they don't do it to death. I just think it's just quite interesting that that's even been thought of.
I guess the only thing I would add is when they say a sequel to Prey or Prey 2, I don't want a continuation of that story.
No,
do you know what I mean?
No.
When I hear Prey 2, I want it in a different era. I don't want to continue that storyline.
Yeah. Phil said Samurai era. That would be amazing. I would love that.
I agree on that.
Sean says Prey was great. Should have been at cinema. I think it was released at the time of, was it COVID during that period of time? I think it maybe, or during the lockdowns. I think maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. I thought it was last year, but I'm not 100% sure. They did release it online. Far better than all the other sequels. That's good. Maybe the Predator shows up, so might get some decent action.
That's a bit salty, Phil.
Nicely put, Phil. Nicely put. I agree completely. Let's see how tomorrow goes. Then I can comment on it properly. Tomorrow's the finale. Let's hope it ramps it up a bit. Yeah. It really ramps it up a bit because it needs something that is not there at the moment, and it's not good. It's not good at all. Whatever they made it palatable and interesting. Episode 5, and then they undid all of it by doing what they've done the last 2 episodes. You got a salt shaker there from Phil. Good man. Also, there has been a couple of rumors this week as well. It's been confirmed by Deadline that X-Men movie is in early stages at Marvel Studios, and they're meeting with writers at the moment this fall. So obviously, again, writer strikes lifted. They're starting to have conversations now with different writers and have these kind of hearing the pitches of what people think that they would do with X-Men. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. Are they going to do it post? Well, they have to do it post Secret Wars. Are they going to do like a big reset? Are they going to basically set this in the 60s? What are they going to do? Are they going to? I don't know. It's interesting to see how they're going to do it. Peter, you're the comic book expert in this panel. What do you think? What would be your pitch for an X-Men movie in the MCU?
You have to you have to kind of reset, because the X-Men, the entire background of them really is about being feared and hated by humans for being different. That doesn't work if you've got the Avengers and the Guardians and people have seen Thanos, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes away the impact of that, I guess. So I think they're going to have a hard time integrating them into the MCU. What I suspect they might do with Secret Wars, because if you look at Fantastic Four as well, because that's they're the first superheroes, they should have already been here. At the end of Secret Wars, it wouldn't surprise me if you knew MCU has already had these characters all in existence for X number of years, so they haven't got to do an introduction to it. They've been here all along, kind of thing. So that wouldn't surprise us, I guess. There's a whole ton of superb X-Men stories out there that they could pick on, but you need to start from basics and establish the characters again, I think.
I hope they don't do the Phoenix Saga again.
Oh, absolutely not. We've done that to death, and they've failed every time they try to do it. You know?
Yeah. I think it was hinted at very well on the back end of the second one, Bryan Singer's X2. But then obviously the third one was a different director, and they just messed, because obviously he was doing Superman Returns, wasn't he? So that's why he stepped away. So I think that would have been very interesting if they'd have done it right. But yeah, I'm kind of sick of seeing the Phoenix Saga now. I didn't even watch the last one of the new X-Men. Of the Fox X-Men. So it was Apocalypse, and what was the one after that?
It was it was awful. It was the Phoenix again, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was. I can't. But that looked atrocious.
I can't
remember what it was called. But yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's going to be interesting, because they've already. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Miss Marvel. She's now officially the MCU's first mutant, and she's in the comics. She's just joined the X-Men. So I'm kind of hoping they're not going to try and make their own version of the X-Men and keep away from the classics. Do you know what I mean? It would be easy for them to create a team around Miss Marvel and things like that. I'm kind of hoping they don't do that.
I hope they don't do that. I haven't really seen the show. I've heard good things.
The show's good. I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, but it's not something that I'm clamoring for.
It's not the X-Men. I want the original lineup. Do you know what I mean? I want to see Prophets.
Yeah. How about yourself, Ian?
I'm a big Marvel fan, and I'm disengaged at the moment. I think after, essentially Endgame, but more so No Way Home. That was good. Everything else has fell really short for me. So anything that's coming out, I'm worried about, apart from Deadpool 3, so I think that'll buck the trend big time. So I don't know how they're going to bring all this in together, and I don't even want to second guess, to be honest. And I don't even want to. I've not read comics for a while, but the stuff that I used to read I enjoyed, and I can't think how they would bring it into where the hell they're taking this just now. It might be me, but I don't know.
I think it's going to be one hell of a job to do. Whether they've got lined up to do this is going to have to really. Yeah. I think personally, and it's kind of leading what we were talking about last week about DC, and obviously kind of like Blue Beetle and The Flash and how they flopped, etc., and kind of that time away. I think Marvel films need to have a time away. I think but we need a bit of a respite. I think the constant consuming of content of MCU, it just makes it just fast food. You don't really feel fulfilled from it. I don't anyway.
No, I agree.
And I think if they have some time away and they come back with something really just really special. I think it'll make a big impact on the box office and people's attitudes to that. But I'm 100% singing from your hymn sheet as well, Ian. I've disengaged massively with the MCU, which is such a disappointing thing because I love Marvel and I obviously love DC, and it's the same things happen with Star Wars as well. With what we're finding with Ahsoka, this is a very similar thing. What's happening? It's kind of like constant content being pushed out, and then suddenly you're not really feeling it as much, or everything's tied into something else. It's all teasing to something else. That's a big event that's coming up. Just have good stories.
Absolutely.
I
think what we'll have. We talked about Secret Wars last week, so we've already seen in Multiverse of Madness that in the multiverse there's versions of the Fantastic Four and there's versions of the X-Men, because we saw Mr. Fantastic, we saw Prof X. I think at Secret Wars, you'll get all of these universes colliding, and it'll, a bit like Crisis on Infinite Earths, the old DC series, it'll end with one timeline and one universe, and the films will pick up as if nothing's happened, but the X-Men will have been in existence and the Fantastic Four will have been in existence for 30 years. So you'll not get that origin. You'll start the next movie with them already established as characters, and there they are, because they've already been there in Secret Wars and then just squashed into our reality, as it were.
Yeah. I would be surprised if there is something of a hint that a lot of the stuff that's been released of late is in a separate universe to one that we're normally in.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll go like a big twist at the end of phase 5 we're in now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, phase 5 go, oh, by the way, it's a different universe. And that way, by doing it that way, it might be a bigger drop the mic moment. But yeah, interesting. My brother said the casting will be the hardest part for that film. 100%, James. I agree completely. I think they've got such an uphill struggle getting the right people.
You had perfection with Patrick Stewart and people like that. How are you going to replace those roles? You know, it's
it's going to be difficult.
Rich, for me, I don't think the casting's the hardest part. It's the issue that I've stood back and had. I think we've been spoiled in terms of the first few phases of Marvel, how that was done. That was like culminating in Infinity War and Endgame was like a childhood dream for me, right? Yeah. That was just awesome.
Oh yeah.
The grounds that was, and I think the casting on that start, Robert Downey Jr. set everything. Like for me, it was just perfect. But everything post that is felt rushed.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Ahsoka, everything's rushed, and there should be more development, the story, character development. There's a lot more stories, and we're losing out on stuff. The dialogue, like Ant-Man, so heavily involved in the green screen rather than filming on location. There's so much that they're doing wrong. That's the polar opposite to what was really successful, I think, in other movies.
Do you not think, Ian? And again, just my take is, when the first movies started coming out, your Iron Mans and your all that kind of stuff, it was very strongly led by people who loved the comics, loved the source material, wanted to make, because they loved the characters. And as these films have got more successful and have started churning out huge, ridiculous amounts of money, that creative influence has lessened, and it's become more about, actually, it doesn't matter what the story is in terms of what fans want and all the rest of it. How many billions of dollars can we make in this movie? Well, it feels like now the passion's gone a bit, and now it's just purely printing cash.
It's a commodity. It's a license to print money, which is what we were talking about last week with the franchise element of it. We've got this one thing. We have a set recipe, as it were, of this is how we've made money in the past. Let's do that with all these different other properties, and it dilutes the brand more and more and more. And I think that's he's going to be the death eventually of the comic book era. But I think new original voices and new original perspectives, if they're allowed to do their thing, that's different. Even the director of the Marvels, that's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, she's even said that she's had her wings clipped by Kevin Feige. Like, oh no, we want you to do this. So she tried to have like an original voice and all this kind of stuff and all these different ideas. and they've gone, no, this is how you do it. And
This
so
is the
it's
formula.
kind of, this is the
Yeah.
formula, and you got to follow this. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think new original voices will help if they're allowed to, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just thought it was an interesting point. Now, I apologize to everyone if I seem to have just been banging on the drum of late the last couple of weeks of having James Gunn news. I don't mean to all the time, but it's just something that I thought was worth mentioning, because again, this is something that's relevant. He has announced that 3 characters who are played by the same actors will be in his new DC film, which is amazing. So John Cena, Peacemaker, Viola Davis, Amanda Waller, and I don't know how to pronounce that name, will be Blue Beetle. In what, if they're canon, he said that everything before Creature Commandos, which is the film that's out next year, animated, I don't know if it's going to be released at the cinema. I can't imagine it will be.
No,
So anything before these 2 films is not going to be canon. So what they're saying is, and he's clarified it, which is quite funny, because he was saying Blue Beetle's the first film in the DCU and first hero in the DCU and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, he was trying to get some oomph behind it for the box office. He's come out and he's clarified this. Someone's basically said, oh, but you said this, you've said that. And he's just basically said, we're going to do those things where it's a sort of aperitif to the DCU and then a deeper dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. It's very human drive to want to understand everything all the time. But I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening with DCU since no one has seen anything from DCU yet. Some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories. Some plot points may be consistent with plot points from dozens of films, shows, animated projects that have come from DC in the past, but nothing is canon until Creature Cases and Creature Cases. That's a TV show my daughter watches. Creature Commandos. So I just thought that was interesting just to mention. I don't want to be a big deep dive into James Gunn stuff, but I just thought it was worth mentioning because there was these rumors of, Wonder Woman might be back and Gal Gadot and all this kind of stuff like that. But I just think he's pretty much saying he's chosen a few of the characters and a few of the actors already to come over. There is precedent then to bring over people. So say maybe Jason Momoa as Aquaman, maybe Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, etc. But if they did do that, why don't they bring Cavill? And all that kind of stuff. So it just opens a can of worms. So I think he's just having those select few, bringing them across because they work so well, especially Peacemaker. And I think it's just quite interesting. So do you guys have any kind of thoughts on this, what he has said?
I think he's got one of the toughest jobs in the world.
Yeah, no one's going to do that.
But you want to know what? It's one of these things that I trust people's vision, and I'll. It's like Dave Filoni. I'll join you in this journey. I'll trust you. You're better versed in all of this than me. And he's got a relatively decent track record, right? So, but I'm not sure about. Okay, I'm not sure about the Superman legacy, how he's going to start with all of this, personally. But I've got an open mind on this. I've got an open mind. There's a lot of DC characters that I don't relate to out of the whole superhero comic aspect. I gravitate more to the more popular and mainstream. I think there's some really weird characters. I'm a bit worried, but let's see.
Peter.
I kind of just wish he would shut up now.
Yeah,
do you know what? It shouldn't be this hard and this complicated and this much effort to understand what I need to know to go and see a film. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like it gets more and more convoluted every time he answers somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm pretty simple. I just want to go and be entertained. And I don't need everything to link into everything in the past. I do like continuity to a point. I think Ian's right. I think he's got the hardest job in the world trying to keep bits. And it feels like he's keeping bits that he personally likes and binning
Yes.
bits that maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't like. I
Agreed.
think there's an issue with that, because we've all of a sudden got John Cena as part of
Mhm.
Suicide Squad continuing on.
Yes.
But
Who's
other
one of his
characters not.
friends.
And
Yeah.
unless
One of his
there's
friends who went to his wedding.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
that doesn't sit too well.
Yeah. His
Um,
wife is in it. Yeah.
I kind of think it would be much easier to just say, right, line in the sand. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Start of the new DCU is this film, and just see what happens. Do you know what I mean?
I think he should just click this button and just, like you said, just shut everybody else off, and just, I'll see you in 2024 when film comes out.
Yeah.
See you then. I much prefer that. I know I'm kind of giving it oxygen by even talking about it, but I think having that, I think everyone's asking him on Twitter. He's responding to it, so more and more people are asking him questions, and then everyone's getting on top of it. So I think it's a bit kind of like they need to shut up for a bit. Until they put out a poster, a trailer. I kind of don't want to talk about it too much, but apparently there's loads of hints to something that's coming up the next couple of weeks in terms of what he's going to be doing. I'm like, bloody hell, just leave it be for a bit. Let's see how it goes. No actors sign up for anything yet because there's an actors strike. So GP Venom says, "Hey all, hey buddy." And then Fuzzin said, "I knew nothing about Guardians until the first film came out. Happy enough to trust whatever comes out. It should be good." Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think we should just trust the characters, the way it's been cast, the story, everything like that, the passion behind it. If the passion's there, if the talent's there, if the writing's there, happy days. Phil said Disney Plus has basically killed both franchises. I think so. I think you might be right. I think they might need to make some changes within Disney long term, because what they're doing at the moment, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. Everything's a hint what's coming, and it shouldn't be that.
Yeah, and the initial things I've read about Loki aren't particularly positive either. So it
really okay. Yeah, I like the first season. I'm kind of sick of seeing him now. He's died so many. He died really well in Infinity War. Strange sentence, I know, but it is. I think had the perfect ending to his character. But then suddenly he's in this now. Obviously, he died in a fake death in
Dark World,
and then he died again. It's just kind of like, come on now. It's just, he just needs to just finish it off now. But obviously, I can see again what we're talking about, getting more content out there, and obviously, Hiddleston, he's not short a few bucks now because of it. But I'm kind of sick of seeing him, to be honest with you. That post looks like a waxworks. I don't know if you've seen it. Very strange.
Madam Two Swords.
Two Swords.
I'm more excited for What If. More excited for a cartoon than I am for
your own show.
No. Yeah, good plug. Yeah, I should have done that. No. So the new season comes out end of this year, and the last season of What If was great. Different tales, non-continuity, just a good. I'd still say, I don't know if you guys watch it, but I'd still say that Doctor Strange episode is one of the best bits of Marvel.
I think it's one of the best things ever. I absolutely adored it. Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
That really was. I really, really love that. I agree. I'm looking forward to X-Men 94. I think it's 94 or 96. It's coming out beginning of next year on Disney Plus. But that's not tied to anything. That's just a property that you don't have to watch prescribed viewing. Which I think it's kind of, because how you make $1 billion is not by having content that people have to have homework. They want to feel like they've invested in something, and then go to the general audiences will go and see it and love it, and then talk about it, etc. And then more and more people watch it. They're isolating themselves quite a lot by doing stuff like that sometimes, I think. But anyway, so next thing we have. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know if I'm fully on board with it. I personally am a massive James Bond fan. James Bond is like the king for me. I absolutely adore it, and the property I've always have done. It's something that me and my brother watched since we were very young, and it's a favorite franchise really. And so there are rumors that Christopher Nolan has been asked to do a trilogy, or at least one film, of his own vision. So rather than it be tied to the Daniel Craig, obviously very difficult how to do that, maybe do a period piece separate from everything else and maybe leading into a trilogy of his own films. So maybe set in the 60s, where it would be during the Cold War, very in line with the books. That's the rumor at the moment. This could be very, very, very interesting. So he's a massive James Bond fan anyway. Christopher Nolan is. You can see it quite a lot in Inception, the big Arctic scene and everything. And he did his own version of a James Bond film in Tenet. Very overcomplicated for the sake, in my opinion. But that was his pitch, as it were, for a Bond film. So yeah, this is very, very interesting. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's something that it's just a bit of a no-brainer in my mind for the level of talent. But I'm just interested to see what you guys think.
See, for me, I mean, Bond's probably, I mean, outside Star Wars in terms of an IP, it's probably my favourite franchise.
Yep.
Grew up with it. Massive Sean Connery fan, just huge nostalgia, all this stuff. I love Christopher Nolan. I'm excited about this. I think who they cast as Bond is crucial.
Yeah.
But that, I don't think I could come up with a name. It really depends on what the story, what the arc's going to be. So if it's going to be set in the 60s, it may not be a person I would pick.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. So if they're, here's the thing. We watch Bond. Bond's always been about the character at that time. They've never went back in time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting aspect. Not saying it's good or bad. I'm interested. It'll be interesting. I love the 60s era. So it just really depends on the story. But crucial who the cast as Bond. But I'm excited about Nolan doing this. I love Bond. I'm all in on Bond. I love Bond so 100%. Much.
We were talking about that before, weren't we? About saying like no Time to Die, just stunning and just amazing. And Casino Royale. What they've done with this franchise, considering where it got to at one point, the back end of Pierce Brosnan's tenure, they've done an amazing job. And I think if they were to set it again in the modern era, I think they're going to struggle. I think if they go back to the 60s where the books are set and the comics, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the comics, with some really good ones that they've released. I think his character, the ideals, the things he had, the things he did, the tech will be very interesting what they do with that. It won't be too gadget heavy. It just have like a really good Cold War era spy thriller. I think that would be great. What do you think, Peter?
So I'm exactly the same as you guys. I am a huge Bond fan, and again, for all the reasons Ian's just mentioned, this is just your life. This is part of your childhood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watching it with my grandparents and things like that. Yeah, I just love Bond. I absolutely adored how they ended the last film. I thought it was incredibly brave. I thought it was beautifully done. And I really struggle to see how you can continue on from that now in a sensible way. Unless you unpick, you guys will know there's all those rumors of that James Bond is just the code name and it passes on from person to person, all that kind of stuff. It's never been kind of agreed in canon and whatnot. But I don't know how to move it on. So this for me is a great kind of reset in some ways. I'd love to see it go back a little bit to the 60s. I'd love to see something like that happen again. I'm perhaps not as big of a fan as Christopher Nolan as you guys are. Love his Dark Knight trilogy. I find some of his films quite overcomplicated and hard to follow. So I would hate to see that complexity come into Bond. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he managed it with, the Dark Knight, things like that were phenomenal. So if he leans towards that kind of storytelling more than Tenet kind of storytelling, I'm absolutely there.
I think there is a lack of emotion behind a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff, minus the Dark Knight trilogy. He did a very good job with Interstellar. I like Interstellar a lot. I like all of his films. I wasn't massively in love with Oppenheimer, I'm afraid. I like maybe 2 hours of the 3. To be honest, the first and the second hour, the last hour was just a waste of time for me, in my opinion. It's just a court case, and it didn't feel cinematic in any way. But yeah, so I think it could be very interesting. He's got an amazing eye. The thing is now, a lot of people are seeing Christopher Nolan films. They're not just seeing a film that looks interesting. They're saying, "Oh, this is a Christopher," because he's an auteur. And I think if they've got someone like Christopher Nolan behind a Bond, damn busters, honestly, they will absolutely nail it. Obviously, he has people that he has worked with a lot. So Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, people like that have regularly worked with him nearly in everything he's done. So it'd be quite interesting to see if he incorporates those guys in anything that he's that he does for this, whether it's the bad guy or everything like that. I think it'd be very, very interesting. I don't think Tom Hardy will be the Bond unless they did do the 60s as a trilogy, those films, and then that's it, because he's getting quite old now. But yeah, Fuzzy Dunlop said a serious Austin Power-like Bond in swinging 60s was phenomenal. Brave choice, though. Very brave. I think there would be a lot of parallels with that to kind of be very Austin Powers-y. But I think if they set it in the Cold War era, did like Berlin with Berlin Wall up and all this kind of stuff, and there's like a Soviet rival, or all that kind of stuff, could be really interesting. I think it'd be really interesting. But yeah, so I thought that was worth mentioning, even though it is just a rumor. A lot of these are rumors, but it's still at the same time definitely worth having that conversation. So we are going to be talking about The Creator, a film that, if you saw my review, I adored. This film for me was what I needed to see at the cinema. To be honest with you, I have been thoroughly let down with the majority of Hollywood's output this year. And this was just a unique, original film that just really put a massive smile on my face. I got so much out of it, a tremendous amount out of it. The thing is it's tragic in some respects, is the fact that this film has only made 32 million so far worldwide for the opening weekend. I'm hoping this film does have legs, rather than them dumping it on streaming or video on demand in a couple of weeks' time, that they are doing quite a lot now. Hollywood aren't really learning the lesson of keeping things in the theatre. This film might not necessarily be a everybody needs to see it the first day kind of thing, but this is a tremendous film. If you've not seen my review, please watch it or just go out and see the film. I adored this film 100%. We won't be doing spoilers just quite yet, so those people who are in the chat or are watching on the replay, we won't be talking spoilers straight away, but I adored this film. It's quite obvious that I did with my review. I was gushing over it because I genuinely loved it. I love the vision. I love what they did with it. I think it's just an absolute beautiful looking film, which I think is what we were talking about before with like kind of special effects, and the fact that a lot of stuff that we've watched of late has never really felt real, and it wasn't filmed in a real room, or it's filmed in the volume and stuff. This is filmed in real locations in Thailand, in South Asia and stuff like that, and they've put a lot of the special effects on it afterwards. So all this stuff is set real locations, which is absolutely beautiful. The world building in this is just stunning. So yeah, I just wanted to say that first of all. Peter, we spoke on chat just generally. You would loved it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so you know, we've talked a lot, haven't we, about different genres that we like, and superheroes and all that kind of stuff. Sci-fi has always been my go-to as long as I can remember. That's always my preferred choice of movie to go and watch. And I haven't had a good sci-fi jaunt for a long time. Didn't really know what to expect from this, from the trailers and things. It looked interesting. Saw your review and then basically rushed out to see it that night. This for me is sci-fi perfection. It's beautiful. It's thought-provoking. It shows you stuff that I haven't seen before. It gets your brain working and things. I also think it's a great twist because we've got a lot of rightfully so. You know, you can debate it, but a lot of negativity about AI and all that kind of stuff in the press and everywhere at the moment. This really kind of made you think. You know, it was really interesting.
Yeah,
it had a good moral compass to it. The performances were superb,
unbelievable.
And for me, I always rate, if it's a good movie, it makes us feel something. And I think I messaged you guys and said I cried on a couple of occasions in this film. Now that to me means that it's doing something right. If it's hitting an emotional button, you know, I loved it. I thought it was perfection for me. It's a one that I want to watch again and again.
It's the one I've not stopped thinking about since seeing it on Friday, and that's a massive sign for me. I think sci-fi films don't traditionally do massively well unless it's tied to an IP, an existing IP.
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049 didn't do very well in the box office, but it had legs later on video on demand and release on Blu-ray and stuff like that. So hopefully this film kind of does that as well. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Peter. Ian, we haven't really spoke about what you think to it.
Yeah. Kept quite quiet about this one, haven't I? So
you did.
So
we don't be doing spoilers by the way, because a lot of people in the chat haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, no spoilers. So massive sci-fi fan. Okay, this is a sci-fi movie, but the story is a love story. That's all I'll say. And I don't want to put people off with that, but it really is, and it's a love story from a humanity perspective, and there's a moral aspect. And with it wasn't what I was expecting with the AI, because you were forced. I felt it, you know, like Dead Reckoning, which is an awesome movie, right?
Yeah.
The AI element is so much different.
Yes.
So I know I'm dancing around it because I can't talk about the specifics. Again, like others have said, as soon as I seen this, I was blown away that, right, I'm going to call it out. Ant-Man, right? The last Ant-Man movie was 4 or 5 times what this was. This absolutely destroys this visually. Yep. And again, I relate, like most people, you want to go and film on location and then have somebody really good at the visual effects do the work afterwards. Right. Yep. So you get all of that. It's there. They've done it in the MCU before. So this is a beautiful looking movie. It's not perfect in terms of the story, but it pulls you in. For me, what was equally equal as beautiful, the visuals, was Alfie. That little actress, Madeline, was out of this world. And for me, if she's not a nomination, you know, going into the Oscars, I'll be blown away. Yeah. And in fact, if she isn't, I'll be quite excited, because we're going to get some fantastic performances.
I agree.
I thought 100%. She was exceptional.
It's the first thing she's ever been in, which is just amazing to me. She was so believable, natural, just absolutely amazing in everything that she did. Every scene she was in, she was absolutely perfection. I have a daughter. You guys do as well. And there was that kind of attachment, because my daughter's 4, and so it's kind of like seeing a young one going through all that and stuff. I was emotional to that anyway myself. This is something really, really special for those people who have not seen it yet. We'll do a quick talk about the story and stuff as well, but it's something that I really thoroughly recommend you going out and seeing on the big screen. People have said they didn't know about it until they heard us talking about it. Loads of people have commented on my review and said that some people this is like their second film the cinema this year, and they've absolutely loved it, and loads of people have reached out and said that as well. So it's really nice. I hope it's a bit of a sleeper hit. Can't just rely on the opening weekends if it's a bomb or if it's a success. I don't really subscribe to that. Shane, Shawshank Redemption didn't do very well at the box office. Loads of classics didn't. Even Batman Begins didn't do massively well, and obviously when it was released on DVD and stuff like that, more people started getting behind it and that. But it's it's very, very true with what you're saying there. We'll probably not go into too much on the spoilers thing if people haven't really seen it, but for those people who haven't seen it, I'll quickly just talk about it. Basically, what happens is it's set in the 2065, where AI has been what's happening at the moment, where it's been integrated in real life, and there are these basically assistants that are made and within the West, and then suddenly this massive event happens, which basically makes AI in the West completely illegal. But because that did not happen in the East have fully embraced AI. And then for 10 years, they have gone and integrated it within their lives. And there is a moral view from the West when they're going over to the East, when they're having these kind of conversations. They see it as if they're killing an AI replicant, as it were, they just see it as like turning off a computer. But in the East, we've integrated them and they've had a real life and they've integrated them within their lives. They see them as people, but just they've been enhanced in some way. So it's that interesting ethical view on things as well, and how that then changes within the film. That in itself is fantastic. Yeah. Gareth Edwards, we all know he did Rogue One. Before that, he did Godzilla. Before that, he did the Godzilla, Rogue One, Monsters. And that was it. So this is like his fourth ever film, which is insane. He was a visual artist for 10 years before he became a director. He had quite a bit of time out after Rogue One. I listened to an interview on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. It's really interesting, actually. You can tell he's holding back on what happened to him in Star Wars, but I think there's a lot of kind of conjecture. I think I even said it myself on previous weeks, where basically I thought he was fired from Star Wars, but I think they stepped in and maybe they wanted to make it a bit more Star Wars-like. Maybe he got too much of an original vision, and they got Tony Gillen to pick it up, and he finished it off, and he put the Vader scene at the end and all this kind of stuff. But so he basically had a bit of time out, Gareth Edwards did, and he basically said he needed a bit of time away, which I don't blame him, and because obviously it must be a lot.
Yeah.
And he had this idea, and he put these storyboards together, and he went to a number of studios with some of his artists, and they pitched this idea, and every single studio basically said to him, "This is a $300 million film. There's no chance you can do this." And he went, "Give us 80 mil, and we can do it. Trust me, we can do it. This is how we're going to do it." And they did it as a guerrilla crew. So basically, instead of getting a whole soundstage together or big load of catering and big lighting rigs and all this kind of stuff like that, they had some of the cast. They had a Sony FX3, which is a £4,000 camera. So it's just like a normal DSLR, which is really nice. Don't get me wrong. And they filmed it. And there were some bits that were filming it on like a Thailand beach. And they had cameraman and they had a guy with a rig walking around with them. So it was a dynamic rig. Rather than having it all set up that it was all kind of stationary, they would literally run around with the cameraman to make sure the lighting was correct. And you can see the level of craftsmanship and innovation they've put in this film. This is how we should be looking at making films in the future for this kind of thing, because you don't have to spend $300 million. That looks shit, by the way. Like Ant-Man and Indy and all these films have not looked great. They've not looked real in any way, shape, or form. The last few films that actually look real, this, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Part 1, and Top Gun Maverick. The rest of them have just CGI mess.
There's a lesson there, but isn't there? Because, I mean, until you've just said all that, I just assumed that this was top of the line kind of cinematography and money thrown at it, and because it looks, as Ian said earlier, it's stunning.
Yep.
So it's madness that we're relying so heavily on CGI rubbish. Use stronger words for it, when actually the proof is in the pudding. Most of we're drawn to practical effects, stunning on-site photography, but we're spending money on crap. We're not. The industry is leaning so heavily towards that now. It's madness, really.
100%. I think it is madness. I felt so invested throughout the whole of this film, and none of it. I didn't go, oh, that's all right. That's a bit that's taking me out of the film, or this bit of CGI looked a bit shit, or whatever. All the way through it, just fantastic. It's just fantastic. Gareth Edwards, he said this. He said he wanted it to be a Blade Runner universe, like Apocalypse Now feel to it, which it's done 100%. The world building in this is just tremendous. It really is just absolutely stunning. Ian, you got anything?
No, apart from everything else that I said, I thought it was great. The pace was great. The emotion. See, here's the thing: the hardest thing you can get from a sci-fi movie is to make people believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My God, does this movie make you believe? It's got to be believable, right? The character, the story, and it does.
Yeah,
it makes you believe, and that's it. I think a part of the story, the acting, but the on-site shooting, that's what pulls me in.
Yeah.
It's believable, and a lot of these other way, way bigger movies in terms of budget, you don't believe in it.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
The making of this film, this film, I think, hopefully is going to be regarded in the future as a modern day classic. This is going to be people will be looking back in 5-10 years and going, this is the moment something changed. Like what happened with, like, say, Dark Knight or Inception and things like that. I'm saying two Christopher Nolan films, but it's kind of like those films, they were seminal parts of cinema where it's like, that's when it changed. That's when this like angle of way things are developed and the technologies and things like that have changed. They've incorporated a lot of the technology that's already been built, but what he's done is doing that guerrilla way of shooting and his vision. Like, honestly, they're like, even the first couple of scenes, straight away when he's on the beach, that was filmed on a Thailand beach, and down the road there was a bar. There was a bar, and people were like, "What are they doing down there?" Dicking about on a camera. They didn't close a set off. They didn't do any of that. They just literally they filmed it over, I think they said 80 different countries. And they got a very small skeleton crew of people, jumped on a plane, shot off. Rather than spending that money in a soundstage just filming it, they had it felt real. It felt completely real to me. It's one of the best films I've seen. It's one of the best experiences I've had in the cinema for a very, very long time. I was genuinely surprised, and that doesn't usually happen to me because I see so much of the TV spots and trailers and making ofs and all this, because I'm all on that, and I read a lot of interviews and stuff like that. So I kind of piece it together in my head how the film's going to go because I've seen the trailer. But this has just surprised me completely. And I think a lot of people who have been critical of this film have said, oh, it was some bits that weren't exactly original, or they borrowed from this, they borrowed from that. It's like, all right, if you were to say, I'm not getting into the Star Wars debate, if anyone jumps on this, but like if you were to put a Star Wars badge on top of this film, you'd say it's the best thing ever. But because it's an original property, they're going, oh, he's borrowed from this bit, or this bit was particularly predictable or whatever. Honestly, this film is just stunning. And I think if you're going with an open mind, obviously we've hyped it up enough, bloody hell, sorry. But I think it is genuinely, it's a really strong recommendation from me. And to be honest with you, very rare that I felt this way that I have done of late in cinema and films. I'm literally going back to the well now and watching a lot of older stuff because I'm just tired of what's out there at the moment. So to see something like this like last week was like, bloody hell, thank God.
Yeah.
So it's just really good. It's really good. But that's anybody else want to bring anything else up in terms of with creator?
Yeah, just one thing. I've got. I was thinking about it earlier today. With a lot of movies, we talk about Hans Zimmer, and for me, the other stuff that's really good about this, it's overshadowed how talented he is and how it's epic. Right, he was so involved. Like, it's his score that's on this, but it's not the standout.
No,
the acting, some of the casting, the visuals. Whereas there's other movies that it's the score that really stands out. So that's something else that I picked up. So if that's not another incentive for people to go and watch this movie, I don't know.
It's an amazing. I think someone said earlier in the chat. Sorry, I didn't address it at the time, but they said, "Do you think the strikes affected this?" I think. John David Washington isn't massively a draw for a lot of people. Just the run-of-the-mill people out there, run-of-the-mill people. I didn't mean to sound like that. Do you know what I mean just general audience? I mean, you know what I meant. And I don't think he's the hugest of draws. I think he will be long-term. He's obviously just starting his career in a lot of ways. So selling that film maybe helped a little bit. It would have helped a little bit.
So
they are selling it on. This is the director of Rogue One. That's how they're selling it.
I didn't know who he was until I think you mentioned it last week. I think it was. So he's I didn't recognize him as a big actor at all like that. But watching this movie, I absolutely want to see more of his work. I thought it was great.
It's the best he's done in anything I've seen him in, definitely.
But also, as much as I loved the movie as a standalone piece, and I think it's great as a standalone piece, I love the universe. I love the universe building. I would love to see more stories from this, future.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to just step away for 1 second. I'll be back in a minute. You carry on talking amongst yourselves.
Over to you, mate.
to me. Yeah. So you've got an incredible T-shirt on there. We were talking about it earlier, Ian. Dusk Till Dawn, are they favourite movies of yours? Do you like those movies?
Oh, Dusk Till Dawn's awesome. Awesome movie. Love that. Love everything about it. Even the cheesiness, just Tarantino, all that. I love it to bits. I love the whole... I mean, I love vampires and the dark stuff and I like the comic book element of the vampires. Massive Blade fan. So,
I was talking about Blade the other night. Actually, Blade 2. Saying I think that's probably Blade 2 in particular is probably one of my favorite superhero horror movies of all time. I just think it's phenomenal. It's one of my favorites. One of my absolute favorites.
What about a mad multiverse that Wesley Snipes comes from? And they've talked about that, eh? It's a bit weird.
There's rumours. I mean, he was rumoured to come in Deadpool 3. I would love him to show up in Secret Wars. I don't know how well regarded he is with the Marvel people these days. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if he's on good terms and whatnot, because obviously he had that challenging spell, didn't he? Where he ended up in jail and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd love to see him. But I thought, do you know what? I thought he absolutely nailed the Blade movies. I know he kind of slipped through Blade 3, didn't he? But 1 and 2 are stunning movies.
I love that.
Someone in the comments just talking about Underworld movies. Yeah, I love those as well. They are very cool.
Are you derailing my show?
Yeah. we're talking Blade.
Okay. Yeah. First one's great.
However, Phil's brought up Underworld, so we can maybe talk about Kate Beckinsale
again. Jesus Christ. Oh, Demolition Man.
I'm taking my t-shirt off.
Oh, bloody hell. His t-shirt off. That's funny.
But see, the first one. Oh, please, somebody. I think we talked about this. Please, somebody, give us a really good 1/6 scale Beckinsale.
Oh,
there's a delay then.
yeah, I wasn't sure.
Please. So
Okay. Anyway, pervert.
hey, even Lucy said we need that. So there you go.
What did she?
Yeah, honest.
Understanding wife. So someone said, "Oh yeah," Phil said, first movie I convinced my wife was to watch Dusk Till Dawn. Oh,
Tremendous.
that's a difficult one to watch with your missus.
I took my missus our first date to watch the original Blade movie.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and when the first scene of the kind of the warehouse scene with all the blood kind of raining down, she just kind of looked at us, and I thought, yeah, this date's not going to end well. This isn't really a romantic movie to watch, but she stuck with us, so that's all right. Yeah.
I think we went to the cinema to see, me and my missus, like second date, was to see there's the second Planet of the Apes film, you know, the reboot. Fantastic films, by the way. They do not get enough credit.
Yeah, I just watched all three a couple of weeks back with my son.
Oh, they're amazing, aren't they? So good, so good. Yeah, I was saying from Dusk Till Dawn, but not because of the horror, but Salma Hayek in that film is different level. She's chef's kiss. So is there anything you guys have been watching this week? Anything you can rave about apart from obviously the creator?
I've watched. I went to the pictures and I saw the rate. I saw Saw 10.
Oh yeah,
10. Yeah, that was interesting.
That
was different. First Saw film I've seen in the cinema, so that was quite an experience. Again, took my wife; she was a bit surprised. So I watched that.
Treat her later, Jesus.
Yeah. We've also been watching, I think I might have mentioned it a while ago, it is Wilderness, which was quite interesting on Amazon.
Yes.
Pretty much finished that. And
Jenna Coleman.
You guys watch Only Murders in the Building?
No.
Been watching that as well. That's quite cool. So yeah. So watch the Candy Best. And of course,
tumbleweed on that one.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. For me, I have been watching the Jill Dando documentary with my wife, which is very, very good. I think you mentioned that, Ian, last week. What else have I been watching? I took my dog to see Paw Patrol 2. She enjoyed it. She loved it. She was a bit confused, though, because there's like a Dora the Explorer bit at the beginning, which is like a short little film bit. And then there's credits and stuff. So kids are like, is this the film? Is this it now?
Yeah.
But she loved it, bless her. And there's not really much else we've been watching, really. I'm trying to watch a few more classics, to be honest, because, like I said, I've just been let down by what's been put out of late, apart from the creator. So I'll be coming out with a couple more recommendations. I've been busting out the videos. I did 5 videos last week. So trying to get as much as I can out there. I did start watching The Continental. That's it.
I have not watched that yet.
Yeah, good so far. I'm enjoying it so far. So that's a good one. Not much else in regards to film wise. I think Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is out soon on digital release. So that'll be good for people who haven't seen it already. Watch our film club that we all did together. Yeah. But it's a great watch, that is. How about yourself, Ian? Have you been watching anything?
Yeah. So same as you, The Continental, I'm actually really enjoying it. So,
yeah, me too. Yeah.
And people need to. Okay, I can't say that. You can't say it's not John Wick because it's set so far behind, right? But it's really interesting. It's pulled me in, so I'm enjoying that. Yeah. Gen V.
Oh yeah.
I think when I spoke to you guys, I'd watched the first episode. I've now watched the first 3. I was a bit concerned at first. It was a bit teenagery, but it's definitely got. It's a bit uncomfortable because it's teenagery with the boys element. But it's I'm very interested, so I'm enjoying that. I think it's done really well. I'm still continuing to rewatch For All Mankind. Again, I'll plug that every week because it's awesome. When season 4 comes out, so I'm watching all that through again. And last night I watched The Reptile on Netflix, the movie.
Oh, is that good with Benicio del Toro?
So it's slow, but I like that kind of movie. It's a bit self-satisfying in some aspects, but yeah, I liked it. It's a nice cast, and I love Benicio. So I think
it's amazing.
He makes it, and I think he produced and wrote it as well.
Yeah,
I think.
I think he's produced. Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoy it. And it's one of those movies you need to be in the right mood for it, and that can change. But I enjoyed that. I love everything that he does. So, but yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
He was also in a Bond film. He was in License to Kill.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah, he was the henchman, the main henchman to the guy with the box on his face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. He's like massively like coked up, and he's kind of like he's got the knife and stuff. Yeah, it's him. It's really skinny if you Google it. It's just, that's a classic, by the way. Yeah. That's a classic. I really enjoyed the License to Kill. I think Timothy Dalton was an amazing Bond. I like
Timothy Dalton.
I think he's amazing. I don't think Living Daylights did him justice. I think, but License to Kill, I thought he was great. Really
Living Daylights had a tremendous song, but
he did, yeah. Was that
I think, was it? Yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh, I tell you as well, Rich, there's a couple of 4K movies that I'll not say too much because I know that you want to do something later on, but physical media, there's a couple of, so I'm building up something that I want to protect, really loved movies. And there's a couple even from 35mm film on 4K. Wow. I've done a comparison from Blu-ray to that, and I really noticed the difference. Yeah.
Any particular ones that you can talk about?
Scarface and Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon.
You right now, and people, I know that people think, there's a lot of grain or that, but it's 35mm, right? So it's there, it accentuates, but I see the difference big time. So I've not went full through Scarface yet, but it's one of my favourites, and I want to protect movies that I love because I don't believe streaming in the future we're going to get what we want. So.
That's definitely something we'll be looking at soon. Something with what we're talking about with the creating the look of film. It was filmed on that camera, and it gave it an impression of a filmic view. If you notice, it was quite grainy in places and stuff like that, which I thought was important. Carlito's Way, I think, has just been released on 4K as well. I absolutely love Carlito's Way. Have you seen that, Ian, recently?
Not recently, but I've watched it lots. I mean, that movie's awesome.
Yeah,
but these are the 4K movies I want to pick up maybe 2 years down the line when they're cheaper. And just,
They are pricey times at the moment. There's actually a film I did see. I don't know if it's going to offend you though, Ian, because I know you're a big Bruce Lee fan, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's not right because of this didn't happen," etc., etc. Dragon Bruce Lee story. Jason Scott Lee. It's unbelievable. I love that film. It's going to be like one of my top 5. It's a classic. Me and my brother used to watch it all the time back in the day, and I haven't seen it in 10 years. And I got it on Blu-ray because it's not available on 4K. And I watched it on Saturday night, I think it was. Just love that film. It's just got such an amazing feel to it. Why he's not a massive star, I'll never know. I'll never know. It's 30 years old, that film.
It's absolutely a long time since I watched that one.
That's
tremendous.
Incredible.
It's tremendous.
It's not story accurate, but I really like that movie. And here's a little tidbit. We've also in our bedroom got we've got a it's kind of demon mask thing that prevents stuff, and it's linked to the whole Bruce Lee arc, and also that's in that movie. On our windowsill. And we're not superstitious, but it's just.
Is it the little mirrors? Is it the mirrors or is it the demon?
No, it's a mask. I'll bring it on next time. I'll show you.
Please,
it It was
Yeah.
given to me by I worked in Japan a while ago, and it was given to me by the president of Hitachi Corporation.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. That's a
Yeah.
nice little claim to fame. Yeah, the
Yeah, very cool.
little mirrors that they put on the windowsill. What were they called? Because he puts them on, and he calls them.
Yeah.
I can't
This.
remember the call, but anyway, yeah.
So do you know that? Anyway, I'll go off on tangent because I've got Bruce Lee tattooed on my leg,
Yeah.
and I've got on the back of my calf and the side, because it was an influence for me. I've studied martial arts all my life, and on the inside of my leg is a Chinese-looking girl, almost geisha type looking, and people go, "Where's that connection?" And it's because he genuinely was registered as a girl.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
That's true, and that's the one thing that's true in Dragon.
Yeah. That's classic. I love it. Anyway, thank you everybody today for stopping by, watching us live and watching us on the replay. Please make sure you are subscribed to Mr. Triple G Comics. What do you have coming up on your channel, buddy?
So I've released a video of my unboxing of the comic version of Iron Man from Hot Toys. Thursday night, I'm guest presenting over on the Killer Comic Show, talking all things nerdy over there. Friday night, I've got my new show with James T. Keegan, which is on my new horror channel. So that's Friday night, and then Saturday I've got Saturday Night Live, which is my usual Saturday night show.
Are you doing a horror channel, or are you doing a completely different channel?
Yeah, so we've started a completely new channel called One Good Scare Show. So please do go and check that out and subscribe. And basically, each week we'll do some different content. So Friday night this week is kind of a horror news thing, and then we'll do horror movie reviews and podcast things. I don't understand. James is talking to us about podcasts. I don't know what that means.
I was thinking about doing this as a podcast eventually.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it's even possible, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the theory. Like I said, new channel. So yeah,
that's great. Well, throw up the link with us, and I'll share it. And that's great. That's good. That's good. That's brilliant. And obviously, with yourself, Ian, I know you don't have any kind of channel or anything like you want to put out, but is there anything you want to promote in particular?
Yeah. So no, I do this show, and thanks for having me on again, and thanks to everybody in the chat. I love interacting with the chat. Shane, the Hope Show next Monday, I'm on. Got a few things lined up with that. I'm actually looking forward to finally getting some figures that are overdue from a certain reseller in Hong Kong over the next week. Fuckers. Excuse my French. But one of those includes Gandalf, which I'm super excited.
It looks phenomenal. Wow. Looks phenomenal.
So yeah, let's see. But yeah, thanks again. I appreciate it. I love chatting with you guys.
Absolute pleasure. I appreciate you coming on and spending your evening doing this with me. Same with yourself, Peter. For me, obviously I put a vlog out on Sunday where I went to the NEC Toy Fair, which I got two really nice things. If you've seen the video, you'll know. But one of them, which I'll show you now. 1 second. I got this. It's absolutely stunning. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm really, really happy with it. It's just a lovely piece. So I had a really good time there, and I had a lot of thoughts, and quite a few people have reached out to me, said very similar things in terms of basically sellers making up prices as you're walking around. Like literally, they'll be setting up. It's got this early bird pass. And I'd walk over and I'd see like a standard Luke from Mando, and we go, "Oh, how are you doing? You're right. Can you tell me how much that is?" He goes, £450. I'm like, "What? And yeah, absolutely crackers. And then there was one guy who had his form. He had his stock on there. There's a John Wick Hot Toys, which I've had before, but I've never been that bothered about it. But I thought just in case it was a deal. I love my deals. And he said, "Oh, I can't really read how much it is. Could you have a look?" So I said, "Yeah." And there's all this little writing. And I went along and it said the name of the item. And then it said cost price. And then the price he was selling it for. So obviously he got it really cheap from a house sale or whatever. He got it for £80.
Wow.
And then he put it down as like 350 quid. I'm like, never mind. I said, if you want to get closer to the amount that you've got as your cost, then we'll have a chat. But yeah, there's a lot of professional sellers there. So I don't know if I'll be going there regularly. But I had a good time nonetheless. And a nice little vlog, and I've had a bit of good feedback. I'm going to be doing a bit of recommendations more shows, just doing basically recommendations, certain films. Again, going back to the well, things I've watched recently and stuff. So I'm going to be doing a few more of those. Bit of film news here and there when it comes through, and anything else I've got coming in, I'll probably review that as well. Clint Eastwood did go back to Sideshow, and a refund has been issued, so that's good. so yeah. But thank you everybody who has stopped by. Quickly check the chat. Everyone's saying goodbye. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Oh, there, James has just shared this one good scare show. So check that out. I'll be subscribing as well. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday, 9 p.m. In the meantime, have a great week and take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.